Let's talk about the idea that's been floated out there by Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk, saying if you want Myles Garrett in a trade, you have to take on Deshaun Watson as well. This idea has gained a lot of steam and it's gotten a lot of attention, so I want to break it down on today's episode and talk about whether or not it's realistic, if it's feasible, and what that could look like. Now, we're halfway through the month of February, and the most amount of likes we have gotten on a video so far is 565. I want to beat that on today's episode, so if you haven't already, scroll down, click that thumbs up button today and every time you tune into the Cleveland Browns Report. So first things first, when it comes to the idea of, hey team, you want Myles Garrett? Well, you have to take on Deshaun Watson as well so we can get his contract off of our books. Is that actually feasible, right? From a boring, schmoring cap perspective, can that realistically be done? Yes and no, but more so no than yes. The Browns are currently $30 million over the projected salary cap. So they have to make some type of moves, whether it's restructuring contracts, which they like to do, cutting players, trading players. Moves are coming by March 11th, because the start of the new league year, March 12th, every single NFL team has to be cap compliant. Now, on March 12th, or on March 13th or 14th, you can then go back in the red and you just have to be cap compliant by some date in training camp and in September. But by the start of the new league year, everyone has to be below the salary cap. So this is where it gets a little difficult for the idea of trading Watson alongside Myles Garrett. If the Browns were to trade both players, a pre-June 1 trade would bring on an enormous dead cap hit to the likes that the NFL has never seen before. Watson, for starters, would take on an $80 million dead cap. If you don't know what that is a portion of a team's salary cap devoted to a player not on the roster. If both these guys are traded, along with the other outstanding dead cap hits they have coming for them, that is 62% of the Browns' salary cap space. 62% of what you spend in free agency, the players you pay on your roster, are for guys not on your roster. I don't see how Andrew Berry could field not a competent football team, a professional football team, if almost 2/3 of the money in his wallet are going to players not on the team. That right there is just too big of a hurdle for me to get past. Plus, if the Browns, let's say, did do this, they did trade both players before June 1st. They got below or got above, you know what I mean? They were in the green with the salary cap. And on March 20th, they traded Watson and Garrett to the Washington Commanders. With 62% of your salary cap space going to dead money, there's no spending in free agency. All of a sudden, your 6th and 7th round draft picks are starters because you could not go out and sign a veteran player. So this would not hamstring the Browns, not make it a little bit difficult. This would make it a full blockage on any type of free agent spending, which we know that's not how the Browns operate. They love to give themselves flexibility. That's like the key buzzword they use. They want the ability to make the move if that's what they want to do. So this to me is almost a non-starter from this point alone. But it kind of gets worse from here. So Jack Duffin, who does a great job of kind of keeping everyone informed and knowledgeable of the salary cap, quickly quote tweeted what Mike Florio said, which then led to this response. The armchair salary cap experts are balking at the consequences to the Browns of a Myles Garrett trade that includes the Deshaun Watson contract. Here's a look at the details and the possible ways to minimize the dead money. So after Florio was kind of backed into a hole and realized, all right, this might not be that feasible given 62% of the salary cap for dead money, let me try and think my way out of this. And I just think he actually dug himself a deeper hole. And we'll talk about that more in a second here. But a quick shout out to our sponsor today, and that is Tushy. Science says that 88% of people have already crapped the bed on their New Year resolution. But you can still get your derriere right by washing it with a Tushy bidet. Tushy is the modern bidet attachment that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and your derriere health for life. Instead of wiping yourself with toilet paper, Tushy gently removes 99% of bacteria while protecting your natural skin barrier thanks to one natural ingredient: fresh water. The Tushy Wave and Oasis bidets easily attach to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing or electricity. They even have a quick release button to remove the seat for instant deep cleaning. Now, if you're a little bit unsure about this, take this from someone who lived in Japan for 5 years and witnessed firsthand the hands-free toilet experience. It is something that the United States needs to bring over from the Far East. So, if you are even on the fence about it, get it yourself a Tushy bidet because your derriere is going to thank you. There's still time to get your ass right for life. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when they use code CHAT at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code CHAT. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Shout out to Tushy for supporting us here at the Cleveland Browns Report. Now, speaking of dumbass ideas, how about this one right here? It's honestly kind of mind-blowing to me how Florio, who's a smart guy, like he is, he's well-educated, he knows what he's talking about, but sometimes I think he feeds off of people's reactions to his work too much, and then he just kind of becomes a human, which I don't blame him for, but then he starts to put himself down a hole that he really can't climb himself out of. So I read over his idea of here's a look at the details, and one part of it really jumped out to me. If the Browns and Garrett's new team would agree to delay the Watson portion of the trade until after June 1, and if the new team could be trusted to honor the move at that time, the Watson cap charge would plummet to $26.9 million in 2025. Oh my God. You're banking on a pinky promise? So we've heard of post-June 1 designation releases before. You get 2 of them, and basically it allows you to release a guy immediately, and then you get the dead cap money split over this offseason and the following offseason, and you get salary cap relief after June 1st. There is no such thing as a post-June 1 trade. You can't mark it as a trade that's not going to be done until after June 1st, but we're going to do it right now for some of the pros of doing it pre-June 1. That's not a thing. And Florio knows that. Otherwise, he would have said that. No, he just wrote this very long manuscript of how it can be done and included in parentheses, like it's no big deal. By the way, we need the other team to be trustworthy to take on a Watson deal because there's nothing stopping the Commanders from trading for Myles Garrett and the Browns saying, but only under the pretense that you will also accept a Deshaun Watson trade on June 2nd. And then the Commanders on June 2nd go, yeah, we thought about change our mind. Would it ruin relationships? Sure. Would the Commanders be dumb for that? No. The Browns would be the dumb ones. They trusted another team to do them this ginormous favor. I really can't believe how Florio just thought we would all skip over that little part in parentheses of, as long as it's trusted. Florio, dude, just admit you probably bit off more than you could chew with this idea. It's kind of a fun idea at surface level until you really start to look at the contracts and you go, it's not just difficult, it's flat out impossible. And once that was pointed out to him, he goes, all right, well, my solution to this is we'll make it a post-June 1 trade for one of the 2 players. That way the Browns get draft picks for 2025, but they also don't get hit with a $80 million dead money charge for a pre-June 1 Deshaun Watson trade, who, by the way, has a no-trade clause. Yeah. But there was more to this. How about this? Taking it a step farther, if the Garrett trade is delayed until after June 1, and if Garrett agrees to postpone the due date of his $18.5 million option bonus until, say, June 5th, his cap charge for 2025 would fall to $3.6 million. Is Andrew Berry going to see any of these 2026 draft picks that we're talking about here? Unless this is one of those handshake agreements of, we're going to trade you nothing on April 1st. You give us draft picks, a lot of them, and then we promise on June 2nd to trade you Myles Garrett and Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of ifs in this sentence that have never been done before in the NFL. How do I know that? Because if it was done before, I guarantee you Florio, a smart guy, would have cited it in his article. This is not like bombshell Luka getting traded. That was just a GM going rogue. This is financially impossible, and now we're in make-believe land where we're going to pinky promise with the Commanders or any other team, you have to take on Watson after June 1st. Oh, and by the way, maybe we could trade Garrett post June 1, but we still want the picks for 2025. Because if I'm Andrew Berry, I'm not trading Garrett after June 1st. What, so you can get a bunch of 2026 and 2027 draft picks for the next GM? Unless he has so much confidence in his standing with Jimmy Haslam and the Browns that no matter how the 2025 season goes, he is not getting fired. Why would he trade his best player away for draft picks, for capital that he never touches? It's exactly what happened to the Raiders GM who traded Khalil Mack away right before the start of the season. He got a boatload of picks for who? The next GM. A post-June 1 trade is more manageable. It's not more manageable. It is manageable. Like, these are just the raw numbers without changing anything. If you trade Myles after June 1st, $14 million for this season, dead money, that's not insurmountable. You can easily work with that. $5 million in cap savings. If you trade Watson after June 1st, $25 million in dead money. That's not even like top 5 or top 6 in NFL history. Plus $46 million in cap savings. Like, post-June 1 trades here, they do work. The thing is, if the draft was June 20th, it's a great theory, but it's not. And I think people are forgetting, why would Barry make a deal for picks he never sees? That's the really tough position he's in. In a perfect world, if you're Andrew Barry, you have the utmost confidence that you have a job no matter what happens in 2025. And so you trade him after June 1st, you get all that salary cap relief, and you get draft picks for 2026 and 2027. We don't live in a perfect world. How many times have we been led to believe, oh, this guy's not getting fired, and then 2 or 3 days later, he's fired? Antonio Pierce spoke to the media. That's like 2 coaches this year spoke to the media hours before getting fired. Matt Eberflus for the Bears, 2 hours before he got canned. Antonio Pierce, less than 24 hours before he got fired. There's no guarantees here. We have one more thing to look at on today's episode, but I do have a quick deal for everyone watching here. If we can get to 42,000 subscribers, I'm going to place a future wager when I go to Vegas this weekend for my brother's bachelor party. I'm not going to do it on the Browns to win the Super Bowl. I know that's not very fun, but I don't want to waste my money. But the deal I'm going to make here is, if we get to 42K, I'm going to place a future. I'm not really sure what exactly the future will be, but I'm going to pick a good one. And if it hits, whoever this lucky winner is for being one of our 42,000 subscribers is going to get all the winnings. If it loses, not a problem. I eat the cost. You have nothing to lose other than, I don't know, nothing. So might as well subscribe, and you could be the person selected to just have a random like NFL, or I'm not even sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to toy around for it. I'm going to look for some good value, but I think this could be a fun thing to help us get to 42K subs. Plus, it gives me an excuse to make one more bet at the sportsbook. So to recap everything we talked about today, because I've taken too much of your time. The first biggest flaw is if the Browns make those moves before June 1st, Watson and Garrett eat up, along with the other contracts and dead money they have, 62% of their cap space. That is not a number any GM could work with to field a roster that would just not even win a game. Like they would go 0-17. They'd be the first team to go 0-17. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, you're banking on a pinky fucking promise. Are we serious here, dude? Like, I do enjoy Florio when he's on PMT, and he's a good interview, and he's a smart guy, and I don't think he's, like, always off base or anything like that. But I think here he tossed out an idea, which he is the factory of ideas, and then it got pointed out to him. It's not really feasible, and he's like, I am not about to let some armchair GMs on Twitter tell me they know more about me than the NFL salary cap. So I'm going to dig myself a deep hole here, and it's all going to hinge on a pinky promise that a team will take on Watson after June 1, when I don't think you can draw up a contract that has any obligations for them to do that. Before we sign off, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, drop a CLE in the comment section. Reed, can you ask Smitty to get my cards? I forgot them really quickly. So, drop a CLE in the comments if you are still watching. I greatly appreciate the end of the video crew. It's always fun to see who watches all the way to the end. Now, let's pick a card here. As usual, I forgot the cards, but luckily they're just 10 feet away. Which card do you want to go with, Mr. Barkus?
Let's go with, you know what? Ace of Hearts.
You want to play two, Smitty?
7 of diamonds.
So 7 of diamonds, Ace of Hearts. I was thinking 6 of clubs, but that's wrong. So I'm going to audible to 9 of diamonds. It probably is. No. Good thing I audible, though. Queen of diamonds. Queen of diamonds. I'll see everyone tomorrow.